Hello dear channel, welcome to this new video. Today we are going to model Viking brooches for men and women. Let's start and drag and drop your brooch drawing into Blender 4.3 to the top view. Add mesh sphere, 80 segments, 40 rings. Shade smooth. Make it 80 by 60 by 30. X-rays. Take your drawing and scale it to the sphere. Now make a copy of the sphere and scale it down. Go to edit mode, X-rays, take these levels, erase them, select everything, and double check the size. We're good. Exit edit mode. Save and be happy. And now yet make another copy of the sphere, Shift D, click. We're going to make the border. Let's go to edit mode. X-rays, select the last level, Control I, delete the rest, select everything with A, extrude on the Z-axis, let's go to 1.5 millimeters, scale slightly, beware on oval design, you need to tweak the scale accordingly on each axis, readapt the scale on the Y-axis each time. Move slightly here, extrude on the Z-axis, go down, -2, extrude, scale, lower it, extrude on the Z-axis, extrude, scale, lower it, extrude on the Z-axis. Select everything, Alt-N, the normals to the outside. Tweak the details and exit edit mode, object, auto smooth. Now we want to add some thickness to these elements. The sphere, add modifier, solidify, thickness 1. Don't forget to apply the scale to get real life numbers. Take the border, go to edit mode, deselect everything, select the outside loop. Now shift control, select the inner loop, extrude on the Z-axis, readapt their position on the Z-axis, do an edge, bridge edge loops to close the solid. Exit edit mode, add bevel modifier, don't forget to do Control A, apply the scale, save and be happy. Now go to the top view, add mesh plane, go to edit mode, take a vertex, copy it here, start extruding, create this shape, select it with L, copy it, make a -90 degrees rotation, scale it on the x-axis -1, come here, overlap. Take these two vertices, merge by distance, select with L, extrude, scale, readapt the position here, exit edit mode, make a linked copy, Alt D, don't move, rotate 90 degrees, make another linked copy, Alt D, one more rotation, Alt D, 270 degrees. Go to edit mode, erase this square, start extruding, tweak the details. Now let's work who's on top. Now when you're done with the leveling, select everything, extrude on the Z-axis. Make it pretty big. Then you can choose to tweak the design as you want. Don't forget to reset the normals to the outside. Tweak the details, add modifier bevel, add modifier subdivision surface, 3 levels. Select in this order, object, link, copy modifiers. Adapt the position, scale as needed. Check that you are inside the metal. Add a mirror modifier based on the center on the y-axis. Copy the modifiers again. Make a linked copy, Alt D, rotate 90 degrees. Make the mirror on the x-axis. Copy the modifiers again. Alt 0 on the y-axis. Tweak the position. If you need to work on the details yet again, take the original, cut the rotation, go to edit mode, tweak the details that you need, readapt the design as needed. Put the rotation back in. Select the design again, make another link copy, adapt it around here, mirror on the X and Y axis, copy modifiers, save and be happy. Add mesh sphere, scale it to the space available, check its position, shade smooth, add modifier mirror from the center on the X and Y axis, make an Alt D, distribute your spheres. Now make a new link copy, scale it, check its position, Alt D, Alt D, Alt D, Alt D. This one needs to go up, Alt D, Alt D, Alt D. Save and be happy. Let's add some more details. Select this Celtic detail. Shift S, cursor to selected. Work from the 3D cursor. Cut the rotation to 0 again. Go to edit mode. Select everything with A. Make a copy. Shift D. Rotate. Minus 45 degrees. Now here, adapt as you like. I'm going to move it up and I'm going to scale it down. Exit edit mode. Paste the rotation back in. Now the spheres. These little spheres are linked copies of the big one. I don't want that anymore. Go to Object, Relations, make single user, Object, and Data. Now you can join them. They are not linked copies anymore. And now I can take the big sphere, go to Edit Mode, deselect everything, work from the median point, turn on Proportional Editing, select the top vertex, make this little detail here. Now make a Shift S, cursor to selected, add UV sphere, 80, 40, scale, and tweak. Exit edit mode, save and be happy. Now let's start working on the main part of the brooch, the center design. Let's add mesh plane. Put it somewhere close to the surface. Here, add modifier shrink wrap. Target is the brooch center. We are going to use the nearest surface. X-rays, let's go to edit mode, merge at center. So I have only one vertex. We can start working on the design. Okay, so we are going to start making the design by extruding the vertex and following the drawing. So I strongly advise you to have a drawing, a sketch. Per se, Celtic designs are complex enough. So if your ideas are not on paper and you start making your 3D model, you're heading for the perfect disaster. First, I'm just going to follow the sketch. We'll worry about the details further ahead. I'm just making the shape. Now here I'm going to close with F. Now your mission, should you accept it or not, is to make quads. Let's start here and let's proceed. So far, so good. Okay, here, let's subdivide maybe 2 times. I need more people here. So let's subdivide again 3 times and go ahead with your journey of making quads. Here, there's the way to speed this up. Take this, that, go to face, grid fill. It won't work. There's 2 reasons for that. You need an edge here. Let's close it with F. Select here again. Go to face, grid fill. It worked. If it doesn't work, you need an even number of vertices. So just subdivide somewhere to add a vertex and you will be able to grid fill just like this. I can do that here now. Grid fill, not working. Take this, subdivide, readapt, select here, face, grid fill. Span number 1 to avoid the overlaps. And here also, instead of the shrink wrap, we have another option. Remove the shrink wrap modifier, turn on the face, center snap base, face project, align rotation to target, affect move and rotate. We have everybody selected. Top view, turn on the snap, grab everybody. So every vertex is now snapped to the sphere. I think that for this design, using the snap is going to be more efficient. Save and be happy. So now what I'm going to do is the same process with the entire design. So I'm going to model element by element for the center of the brooch. All right, so here I have completed the topology of the designs. Something very important before we move forward, and especially before you move forward, check that your topology at the intersections of the knots, like here by example, are aligned to the passing knot here. So this arm of the knot, in this way, I have topology following that part of the knot. The entry and the exit and everywhere. Here you can see this is aligned to this arm right there, this side also, and everywhere. So check that your topology is clean and follows the knots, and also that you have enough topology, because from here we're going to create the 3D part of the knots. That's obviously the most important part. So if your topology is not clean and not correctly prepared, you're going to suffer and you will be unhappy even if you save. So here I'm done. My topology is nice. I can save and be happy and move forward with this Viking brooch 3D model. Now create a new collection, call it Celtic 3D. Take your designs, make a copy, Shift D, move them to the new collection. Now go to edit mode, select everything, grab on the Z-axis, lower this slightly. Now extrude on the Z-axis, 2 millimeters. Give enough thickness, especially if the jewel is that big, so the designs stand out and the work is worth the effort. Now here, go out of edit mode, take each element. We're going to safeguard this selection for each element. So new vertex group, assign these vertices and make this for all your elements assigned to a new vertex group. You need to do that for all the elements. You might not need the vertex group, but if you get to a situation where you need that vertex group, you better have it safeguarded here. So let's do that for each element, new vertex group, assign the vertices. Now I can select all the elements again, go to edit mode, select everything, put the normals to the outside like this, save and be happy, and we're ready to intertwine the knots. Okay, so let's go to edit mode and let's start up and down, up and down, up and down. That's why I made a copy of the drawing up there so I can see the up and down. Let's take this. So today we're making the design using mesh editing. You can make these designs using curves, Bezier curves. I already made a video using the curves to make a Celtic design. So today I'm using mesh modeling. Each method has some advantages. So up and down. So if here it goes up, we know that the next one goes down. That's important when you make Celtic designs. There is an order to the intertwining of the knots or the designs. Okay, so something important here when I said that you need enough topology is that this allows you to make smooth transitions between the levels. I'm not necessarily moving the vertices only on the Z-axis. I have some freedom, and one of the advantages of the mesh modeling instead of the curve modeling technique. You need to have some method when you're doing these designs to avoid getting lost between levels. If this is your first Celtic design, you will definitely have some lost in space from time to time, but that's all right. It's part of the learning process. I would say that when mesh modeling, will have more vertices to move compared to using curves. But with the mesh, I can tweak very specific angles of the design. Obviously, with the curve, you can twist the curve to get these effects, but the control is not the same. And also, well, sometimes just because I want to make this as a mesh, just because you just did a model using curves and you want to use meshes to avoid boredom. In this occasion, by example, the other Celt modeling that was a ring, I showed how to use curves. So I obviously very quickly decided that this time I was going to make a Celtic Viking brooch using mesh modeling. So the followers on my channel can see the differences of these techniques and appreciate the craftsmanship, because now this is 3D modeling craftsmanship, to experience and learn different techniques. So something very important while you're doing this, you should be really enjoying this process. Even if it's slow, even if maybe it's not the most efficient technique, maybe we're not using AI, things like that. But here, by example, I'm really enjoying myself moving each vertex to its exact position to have a perfect progression of the curve. So I'm checking all these details, enjoying every moment of it. I still have a lot of things to do, but let's go and try some modifiers. Let's go add a bevel modifier. Let's go add a subdivision surface, 3 levels. Okay, that's pretty nice. So I'm going to take all the elements and copy the modifiers. You might not want to do that too early in the process. It's going to be heavier on your hardware. All right, so still wonder why I told you to create a vertex group. Let's take this element. Let's go to edit mode. Nothing is selected. Go to mesh data, vertex group, select the vertex group, do Control I to invert the selection, H to hide the selection. Now I can select these vertices here, turn on the proportional editing right here, grab on the Z-axis, adapt the effect of the area as needed. I'm going to lower this here, okay? And the bottom part has not moved an inch. So obviously, in some occasion, it's going to be very important to have that specific vertex group, as I said earlier. So learn to use vertex groups. So here by example, you can see that I'm solving the tris up and down, the interweaving of the tris, which is obviously one of the most typical Celtic symbols. So what I'm doing here is something that you could not do as precisely if you were using curves. Bezier curves can do many things in Blender, and Blender is great at working with Bezier curves. You could use the tilt, you could use the profile for the beveling of the curve, the size of the radius, the taper curve to make some part have less radius and some other parts have more radius. But here I'm adapting the tris in space very precisely using the vertices of the mesh. So here I'm able to make the intersection at the center to work properly, as the intertwining of the 3 branches at the center are very suddenly changing of level, but very subtly going on top and under one another. And that's why I can go ahead with a lot of confidence using mesh modeling, because I know that I will be able to make the design work based on the drawing I made, and I can adapt anything in the 3D space thanks to mesh modeling. Now, when you think you're done modeling, don't forget to look at your design from all the angles. Front view, check side view, check top view, check. Also, don't forget to check the face orientation, the normals, and most important, don't forget to check the back side, because you can very easily forget to look at the back, and the back must be perfectly clean. All right, so this is going to be a brooch. So it means that we need something to wear the brooch. Obviously here at the back of this Viking brooch. Let's make the pin for the brooch. Front view, X-rays. Not that we see anything much better, but X-rays. Add mesh, plane, edit mode, merge at center. Let's make a shape like this, extrude on the Z-axis, rotate slightly, scale slightly, extrude here. Select everything, bring it to 0 on the Y-axis. Okay, now let's have a look here from the back. Let's extrude this on the Z-axis. Here we can have a look on the inside. That's pretty good. I think this won't be long enough. Let's make it longer. It's going to pop out slightly. That's life. Now modifiers, solidify, offset 0. Let's give it some thickness here. This is what 2. Add a bevel modifier. Now let's check the subdivision surface, 3 levels. Okay, now down here, let's see if we can make this round. One more subdivision here. Loop cut, make this round. Now, add mesh cylinder, bring it somewhere here. Let's scale this. Okay, now this, let's make a origin to geometry. We'll see the exact position later. Add modifier mirror on the y-axis based on the cylinders. Okay, reset the rotation on the cylinder. There you go. We want to make a pin for the brooch that has freedom of movement. The system for the brooch, the épingle, as we say in French, can very well be 3D printed. That's no problem. But generally, don't forget that the pin itself should better be handmade. So here, let's work on the details. This is going to get booleans from that. I'm going to subdivide. Let's put a bevel just before the subdivision on the cylinder. Okay, make a copy of this part. Make this one smaller. Now let's go to edit mode. Let's bring this to 0. So we're going to make the head right there. Let's extrude on the y-axis, scale. Extrude on the y-axis, scale. This is when this part is hammered. Takes this shape. Let's make a mirror on the y-axis. Let's put this correct into place. So that's the pin that's going to hold the pin in place. So this pin is hammered after the pin is put in place, but obviously here in 3D, I can do it in any order I want. Okay, mirror only on the y-axis. So this is pin. This is pin supports. Save and be happy. Now let's make the pin. Add mesh circle. Let's put 32 is going to be good. 0 on the y-axis. 2. Yeah, it's got to be a pretty big pin. Let's rotate 90 degrees. Okay, now let's start there. The pin for the brooch is pretty long, so it can be pretty thick. It must work to hold the brooch in the cloth, to wear the brooch. Okay. Let's go to edit mode, and it's not necessarily straight. Generally, it has a slight curve. So we're going to make the curve, extrude and rotate slightly now and then. Okay, now here, let's take this. Let's take the system. Let's make a mirror on the x-axis so we can see how long the pin must be. Okay, so here I'm going to start scaling slightly because obviously the pin must be sharp. And if you have never pinched yourself with a brooch pin in your chest or pinched your girlfriend's chest, then that's because you have never worn a brooch. You can't avoid the classics. That's why they're classics. Okay. Obviously, on that side, the system is different. There are commercial ones that have some locket. We're going to do something simpler, but very efficient anyway. Here, we must do something a bit more complicated because here, this is going to scale on the z-axis. We must fit in here, extrude, scale. So in real life, this part of the pin is hammered, is flattened with the hammer, and that makes the pin harder. It tightens the metal, and that's why they're generally made by hand, like I already mentioned earlier. It could be a bit flatter. Let's have a look. Okay, this must fit, and this can be flattened like this. Okay. Now here I'm going to take the cylinder, cursor to selected, and I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor for my pin. Okay, there. The pin is made in real life by hand, like I already said 1,000 times now. You will not be 3D printing the main pin. Let's see if we can rotate. It's still a bit too long. It's part of the job making all these details. Subdivision surface level 3. That's pretty nice. Okay, that's the brooch pin. Save and be happy. Now on the left side, obviously, this is not the correct part. So let's make the correct part. Let's make a view from the left side. Add mesh plane. Edit mode, merge at center. Let's come somewhere there. We're going to make a small compartment for the pin. Okay, I'm going to create this shape, like circle-like. It's going to be partial. That's why it's going to be a compartment for the pin. So it doesn't pinch you all the time. Like I mentioned earlier, we must protect the head of the pin and we must protect you. Okay, we have this. Now select everything, move it here. Let's extrude it on the x-axis. Let's bring it here. So now here we can remove this mirror. Okay, now add modifier solidify, and we're going to go to the outside, in fact. So I'm going to make this longer. The important is to have enough space to let the tip of the pin enter in that small compartment so it can close. Okay, so it's too big. Let's scale it. You can tweak the shape as you prefer. Sometimes you can add some loop cut. It's not as fancy as other systems that can have springs, a part where you push and turn compartment. Those are commercial systems that you need then to solder to the brooch. So I don't like that. By example, in this case, the brooch is going to be made of bronze or brass. And if you buy a commercial system for that part of the brooch, it will not be made of the same metal. And that's something that I try to avoid when I manufacture jewels. And I strongly advise you to use the same metal. Every part of a jewel can be made of the same metal. So that's why I'm making this system like this. Simple but efficient. It can be 3D printed and it can be casted all at once in the same metal with the brooch. That's perfect for what we need. Now, add modifier bevel, add modifier subdivision surface level 3. Okay, let's make this thicker. That's pretty nice. Okay, so this is pin tip compartment there. Now, we can see that this solid part of the brooch might be adapted now. So let's make a loop cut here and a loop cut there. Now let's select again. Let's extrude on the z-axis. Okay, so let's tweak the rest. Let's take the spheres. They're linked copies, so we're not going to have too much of an issue adapting this. Okay, we need to select 3 more levels from what I can see. Let's scale this on the z-axis and let's move it down below here. Let's see that we're not affecting the front view. No, this is great. Save. Don't be happy just now. We need to adapt this. So these friends are also link copies. Let's go to edit mode. Okay, so first let's take this. Let's move it up. Let's see if that's enough. Okay, exit edit mode. Now let's save. I'm going to show you how to create a very nice detail on the back. Add mesh plane. Go to edit mode. Let's start here. Okay, modifier mirror on the X and Y axis. Control A, all transforms. Tweak the shape. Shoot on the Z axis. There. Now select everything. Tweak the details. Add the bevel modifier and subdivision modifier. Level 3. Shade auto smooth. Let's make a copy of this on the X axis. Make another copy on the X axis. Scale on X -1. Normal to the outside. Start making copies and rotating. Redistribute your elements with the adequate distance that you see right there. And I'm going to add mesh sphere. Let's adapt it on the inside here. Here I'm going to flatten this part so it doesn't come out the front. And I'm going to finish the distribution. Perfect. So this completes the modeling of this Viking brooch. Now you can save and be happy forever after. Take care and see you soon.